Welcome back to the Mike Vogiatzakis show on this Wednesday night. Tonight, we're not talking about theory. We're talking about something that's going to happen someday right here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And to be honest with you, it's happening sort of right now, but in a smaller scale. The bigger scale is going to be concerning. The smaller scale, I think it has to do more with just saving lives, but we'll talk about all that right here in Winnipeg. This is all about a mobile drug consumption site. Now, it's already operating on the streets of our city. That's a moving location where people are going to use drugs under supervision in real time. And now, guess what? The province is set to move forward with even more sites. So, this will include a couple of things, including a permanent location. Now, this permanent location has been seen before. It's been seen all across southern Ontario. It's been seen across Alberta. And 90%, 99% of the time, it doesn't work out too well. What makes Wab Canoe and even our own mayor think differently, we're not sure. But, they're calling it healthcare. And, they're calling it harm reduction. Now, there is harm reduction involved. I guess there is some sort of form of healthcare, so they're not really that wrong. But the reality of this is they forget to address a couple of really big issues and topics that Mike is going to bring up in just a bit. But many people in the city are asking a very different question. What's happening to our communities? What's happening to our safety? And who exactly are these sites going to be helping? Because while the government says this is about saving lives, residents are raising serious concerns about safety, location, youth access, and of course long-term impact on neighborhoods. And here's the part I think that should get everyone's attention. It's important. The push is happening despite growing backlash. Despite other provinces starting to rethink these policies like Ontario and Alberta, it's a problem. Manitoba just seems to not be listening, and I don't know why. But tonight, we're going to get a little deeper into the topic, and it's something that you can't sugarcoat it. It's all meant to, really, I guess, educate, inform, give you a chance to see inside what some of these Liberal and NDP individuals who are running this country are thinking and why they're thinking that way. So we've got some great videos coming up that are going to help present that side of it from their side of it. We're going to present our own side tonight. We're going to ask the hard questions. And these sites actually helping people? So we'll get into all that. Are we creating a system that keeps people trapped in addiction while the rest of the community pays the price? I think we are. But we're going to talk about it with Mike Vogiatzakis right after this.
At Santa Lucia Pizza, it's all about the sauce. Did you also know, whether dine-in, takeout, or delivery, our menu is sure to please with a variety of options for the whole family. With quality ingredients for pizza, pasta, Greek, and so much more. Cut cooking out of your dinner plans and let Santa Lucia Pizza do all the work. With large portions, superior taste, great service, remarkable quality, and exceptional value, plus fantastic menu options, and our specialty, of course, pizza. Fresh and piping hot to your door. Pizza, pasta, Greek food, Santa Lucia. It's all about the sauce. Order online at santaluciapizza.com.
Music makes you bounce your head. The pizza makes you hungry. Oh, boy. Sure looks good. Hey, Mike, I got to say, this is a tough topic. This is a tough topic. Welcome back to the show tonight. Good to have you in. I know that you've been busy lately and lots of things going on, but you're getting out in the community lately. You've seen a lot of people around town, and one of the things you mentioned when you got here tonight was that you happened to stop by a mall earlier today, and you kind of thought it was like going in at Christmas time where everybody was there and everybody knew you.
It was yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Yesterday I walked through Polo Park, and let's just say it took me probably about 2 hours to get from one end to the other end because everyone wanted to stop and talk and ask questions. And, a lot of supporters, a lot of people, liking what's happening and looking forward to May when you can actually talk about what you're going to do instead of the problems, the solutions.
Well, that's right. People are waiting for that, aren't they?
But a serious problem is what we're going to talk about tonight. And if people don't get involved and they don't become part of fixing the problem, you're going to be part of breaking the problem. because once it goes through, like anything else, there's no turning back.
That's true.
And that's just the way it is. Going to say hi to some people tonight, and going to take this right up to the top of the screen.
Absolutely.
And
Guess
hey,
who's here first?
Thor, and he's got beer.
He's got beer. Yeah.
2 for you, 2 for me.
Bonus.
Dan Ross is on the show.
Randy Stanton's here, as well as Randy Medwood. Couple of Randys.
Randy and Randy. Debbie Kwan.
Heather Tews is here, as well as Barb Judge, Diane Wileyman.
Brenda Warlick. Good evening, gentlemen. Susan, of course, and Wayne. Hi, Mike and Brad. Wayne and Susan Alec. I hope you are doing well. Happy Hump Day. Mike Cherry. I like Mike Cherry. I've read some of his comments on my posts, and he's right on.
Absolutely. Lots more people are going to be signing in and coming on. And
Heather Toes. Now, is it Toes or Toes? Because, you look at the hockey player.
There's no O.
And it's funny because you read their name and it doesn't sound like it should sound.
Heather Tews.
And, Randy says, this city is in such a mess. And it is. And Sandy joins us now also. And, we're looking forward to the show, and we're looking forward to you liking, sharing, and following the show, because this is only going to get better and more powerful. And when May rolls around, we're going to allow you to hear the solutions first right here on the show. So you want to follow the show so you can get the first hit at what we're going to do. Chris Black's on the show. Hey, Chris. Nice to see you guys. Also, Val. So a lot of people joining us tonight. It seems some people join us late. And, I want you to know, sometimes people go, there's not very many people watching the show. But it's not about the show right now. It's about who watches the show after. And there's a lot of people watching the show through the week or, after the show.
He didn't necessarily mean it that way. You guys are important, too, because you're all here live with us. We appreciate every moment you take to come on with us. But at the same time, the main views are coming later on, right? So, yeah. But if it wasn't for you guys, how can we even have a conversation about some of this stuff? So we really do appreciate you guys very much.
So, interesting show. We're going to have 3 videos tonight on the show.
See, I got Wileyman right. There you go. Diane Wileyman Sharp.
There you go.
I did say it right.
Now, I have a question for you. And
me?
These are the viewers, and for you too, I guess. Would you be okay with a safe consumption site on your street, Brad?
No, not a chance.
Right near your home?
I left the city in Alberta because of it opening
near
up.
Near your kids?
Not
near local businesses trying to survive?
Never.
Because this isn't hypothetical. Safe consumption sites are being pushed into Manitoba. As we talk, they're talking about it, where they're going to do it, why they're going to do it. At the exact same time, other provinces are pushing back, shutting them down, listening to their communities, which we should be doing right here in Winnipeg. And you're part of the community. So when people go back and read this, and on my post today, I talked about this, and there was, 300 and some odd comments. Listening to the communities is very important. And that's what we need to do. If you don't listen, we have to deal with the consequences afterwards. No so question. Why aren't we learning? Why are we always one step behind? And I ask myself that question all the time. We've already seen what happens. Communities change, public drug use increases, people feel less safe. That's a fact. And leadership still calls it progress. This is not compassion. Real compassion, in my opinion, means we help people recover, help them get clean, help them rebuild their lives, not normalize the very thing that's destroying them. As a funeral director, I need to tell you, I see the end of the road every day. I see the families. I see the heartbreak. I see what addiction leaves behind. So I'm asking you directly, do you want this in your neighborhood? Speak up, because silence is how decisions like this get made. Think about it.
It's not even your neighborhood, Mike. I just want to say this. It's about your community, period.
Exactly.
And the city is the community. And it doesn't matter where you park that, it's going to cause all kinds of
And I want you to
stress.
think about this, because this is reality. It's reality that's happening in our city. So your opinion matters. Please like, share, and follow, because what you say is important, because other people read it, and they give their comments and their 2 cents, and this is how we make things happen and don't happen. As you know, in the near future, I will be running for mayor, and May I'll register. And all your comments and everything that you say, I read, and I register it in my mind, and some of it's going to be part of my platform.
All right, are you ready to check this out, Mike? We're going to some videos now,
let's do it.
Let's play a couple of videos. We'll break them down as we go. We're going to start out with this first video. It's actually a Wake Up Canada News episode that I just recently did, and it talks about all of the safe consumption sites in southern Ontario closing down. So let's.
And I think it's important for people to see this because we're going to talk about what happens in other places and what they want to do here, and you'll see the consequences.
As Manitoba gets ready to build and open a safe consumption site in Winnipeg, Ontario is shutting down its supervised consumption drug sites. Welcome back to Wake Up Canada News. I'm Brad Wilder. Many people say it's long overdue as Ontario is shutting down the last of its provincially funded supervised drug consumption sites. And for many communities, it marks the end of an idea that should have never gone this far to begin with. Late Friday afternoon, the Ontario Ministry of Health sent letters to the operators of these sites telling them provincial funding will end on June 13th. The decision affects locations in Toronto, Ottawa, London, Kingston, Peterborough, St. Catharines, and even Windsor. When the funding stops, the sites will close. Advocacy groups and the organizations running the sites immediately criticize the move, saying they argue these locations save lives by preventing overdoses and connecting people with healthcare and addiction services. But many people who actually live and work around these sites have been telling a very different story for years. Residents and local business owners in several cities have complained about open drug use, needles left in parks and sidewalks, and rising disorder around the facilities. Parents have said they no longer feel safe letting their kids walk through certain areas. Small businesses say customers stop coming. The idea behind these sites was simple. The government believed that if people had a safe place to use drugs under medical supervision, it would prevent overdose death and help push people towards treatment. Supporters say that has happened in some cases, but critics say something else has happened instead. They argue the policy normalized drug use and concentrated addiction problems into specific neighborhoods, leaving communities to deal with the fallout. Now the province is backing away from the program. The Ford government has not yet explained exactly what will replace the sites after June, and the opioid crisis itself hasn't gone away. But what is clear is that Ontario is changing course. For many people watching this unfold, the closures feel less like a shock and more like a correction. The government finally admitting that the original idea created problems that were too big to ignore. Thanks for watching Wake Up Canada News. Please like, share, and follow us on any of your favorite socials, including YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and our website at wakeupcanadanews.com, where you can also find the extra articles that didn't make our newscast. Till next time, remember, you're the voice, and it's time to make it count. I'm Brad Wilder, and I'll see you soon. All right, Mike, there you go. So that's the story about Southern Ontario. How do you feel about that?
You know, I mean, that's something to look at and learn from and, you know, educate ourselves because
Absolutely.
We want to do that here in Manitoba. But why do we not learn from our neighbors? They're teaching us a lesson. They're telling us what went wrong there. But, you know, we got premiers and mayors here in Manitoba that are going to do their own thing and learn the hard way.
I would have expected them to pay attention to what's actually going on throughout other provinces, but they don't seem to be listening. They think they've got their own way. And I mean, look, a lot of this comes down to money. I saw that in Lethbridge, Alberta, when they had their safe consumption, Mike. And to be fair here, you know, they opened one there. They gave it a test run. It was a big one because obviously they were kicking it off, and they had a lot of funding behind that, big millions of dollars. And that safe consumption site is now closed, thank goodness. And the reality is that it went really bad really fast. We saw a lot of vagrant, you know, transient people showing up in town that end up doing those narcotics. Drugs were running rampant on the streets, needles in the schoolyards, all the stuff that, you know, you're going to see here in Winnipeg. And if it's not bad enough now, it gets worse when all these people move here. And they move, these transient people, they'll get a ride. They'll hitchhike. They'll make their way to wherever the drugs are. So if it's in Lethbridge, they'll go to Lethbridge. If it was in Southern Ontario, Windsor, Toronto, it doesn't matter. They'll go there. But now, everywhere else is shutting down. Where do you think they're going to end up, Mike? They're going to end up in your bloody backyard.
I think we're going to see some more tents, some more people hanging out.
There's no question about that. Wherever that site is, that whole area is going to be flooded with hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of people.
And that's the difference. And when October comes, and if I'm elected when I run for mayor, be assured that I will be the most real mayor that Winnipeg's ever had. And that means making decisions that have a common sense behind them.
Well, they're going to come with common conversation too. Something that is something that you have to get through at some point with people who don't understand. And Mike, I'm going to point this out on the next video that we're going to play. How they don't understand.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter whether it's a Liberal or an NDP. They're all for this, and for some reason, they just can't see through the light. So do
you have a funny feeling that the Liberals, everything that's right is wrong, everything that's wrong is right?
The script is flipped.
They're killing Canada. And this is why it's important for the next election, when you have a chance, and supposedly there's an election coming up, that you need to go to the polls and you need to vote and you need to make a difference. Before we go to the next video, I just want to say hi to a couple more people. Like, for example, my son Josh is on the show. Love when he comes on the show.
Good to see you.
And George with a Jeep.
Dude, he doesn't own a Jeep. I thought that was George, a guy with the Jeep. He's got
that's his last
Jeep.
name. Come on.
I did not know.
Debbie Kwan,
did not know.
Good old Al Bueller's on the show. So a lot of people are joining us now. So interesting show, because this conversation matters. And here's what we're doing. And a lot of people ask, well, where's your solutions? How come you have no solutions? Well, I have a lot of solutions. And they're going to come about starting in May. We're going to start releasing my platform. And you're going to see that this guy here is going to be the real deal.
You can't talk about being in that position until you get the paperwork done.
Right now, it's just about starting a conversation.
If you started to do that kind of stuff, what's the outcome? What happens? What's the repercussion?
Everybody plays copy the leader.
No, it's not just that, though. They could also say you are already campaigning before you've got your election
you would definitely,
papers in.
Get disqualified.
And you get disqualified.
Right. So, really careful how I cross the T's and dot the I's, because I don't want to get disqualified when that time
It's important that we clear that part up, because I think a lot of people are going to continue to ask that question until they get the right answer. And the right answer is that he can't say nothing until May.
Doesn't stop Brad from saying it, but I can't.
No, but I'm not going to release his platform by any stretch. And I know a few things, and I can tell you right now that everything that I've heard is flipping the script back around between right and wrong, and we're going to get it right. And this is the way that it's going to have to make a difference in the future for Manitoba, Winnipeggers, Canadians.
We're going to go to video number 2. Pay attention. Listen, because the facts are being told right in black and white.
Absolutely they are.
Or if you have color.
All right, this one's really good.
Dr. Summers, it is my understanding that Mark Tyndall served as Deputy Public Health Officer under the provincial BC government until 2018. Is that correct?
Sounds about right to the best of my knowledge, yes.
After leaving the government, Mark Tyndall launched a vending machine company called MySafe, which dispensed opioids to drug users. What can you tell us about this vending machine company?
Well, I can confirm that I've seen the machines in action, and at the time that they were being developed at sort of the concept stage, I suggested that there were much more effective priorities, and in fact, that taking the step of responding to people who are living in poverty. So it's important to note that these machines were installed in what are referred to as low barrier housing developments. And from prior research, one of the things that was most urgently needed among people who were socially estranged, including those in low barrier housing, was the opportunity to be engaged in meaningful relationships and on a path to social reintegration, which, by the way, is something that harm reduction interventions are capable of initiating. I thought that it was exactly the wrong type of message to take as we were in the first year of a declared public health emergency, to be rather than engaging alienated people interpersonally, that we would instead be pouring our energies and attentions into an interface that involved a machine. But that, my view, was fairly forcefully outvoted by people in positions of authority.
Yeah, and I have some follow-up questions on that as well. So according to Health Canada's website, the federal government gave this company over $3.5 million. Is this correct?
I've seen that, and also an additional tranche of funds as well. So I think that's a sort of a low estimate of what we've invested collectively.
Okay, Dr. Summers, did Mark Tyndall advocate for policies like decriminalization and safe supply in his former role within the government? Yes or no?
Yes, he did.
How is this not financial conflict of interest?
You're asking me.
Point of order, Chair. Point
Yes.
of order. Just wondering what is the relevance, because we're just starting out on the study on pharmaceutical sovereignty, and the line of questioning hasn't really been even close to the intent of the study.
I guess when we're done all my questions, you'll get it very clear. So, we're ready to go again? Dr. Summers, it is also my understanding that Perry Kendall served as the public health officer in the provincial BC government until 2018. Is this correct?
It's either 2017 or 2018, yes.
After leaving the government, Perry Kendall co-founded a company called Fair Price Pharma, which distributed injectable heroin. Is this correct?
Point of order, Chair. It's the study we're focused on, and to this point, I have not heard a relevant question to the study, the intent of the study.
Okay.
I'll answer. Yes, Dr. Kendall co-founded a company that was positioned to distribute heroin, diacetylmorphine.
Okay. Is it fair to say that both former government officials advocated for policies like decriminalization and safe supply in their former roles? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Thank you
There
very
you go, Mike. What do you got out of that? I hear something of, whoa, this, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
A lot of things there that was said, and think about it. This could be happening in Manitoba in the near future. Vending machines coming to a neighborhood near you. Vending machines where you can get heroin, cocaine, all
Crack.
those drugs, crack. And I want you to think about something, because this is actually funny. There's people who are still spending time in prisons, years and years of their lives in prisons for selling cocaine, for selling heroin,
Yep.
for selling crack. And what do we have? We have the government in the drug business. And I'm not talking about drugstores. I'm talking about hardcore drugs that get people addicted. And then you heard it. $3.5 million the federal government gave this company to set up vending machines with drugs in them. So think about what $3.5 million could have done and how many people we could have saved the proper way by rehab.
The guy was a former minister.
And I was just going to say, so
Insider trading
an
sort
insider
of
trading,
stuff, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I
that's
mean,
what
isn't
it
that
is.
illegal too? A former minister getting $3.5 million from the federal government to put vending machines in place with the hardest drugs that you could possibly get on the streets.
In the poorest neighborhoods in the country.
And that's what they do.
With the people in those neighborhoods who are struggling from what kind of conditions, Mike? To be honest, it's not just drug addiction, is it?
No.
Drug addiction is the underlying solving thing for
mental
those
health,
people.
drug addiction.
Correct.
You know,
Poverty.
And you know what?
Send another
That's who they're
100
going
million,
after.
Send
You-
another 100 million to Ukraine.
I got to say something that really bothers me. I think we almost have more cannabis stores in Winnipeg than we do potholes.
Maybe.
You know, and what does the government want you doing? In my opinion, they basically want you stoned, drunk, or addicted to something, so you could just go with the flow. Vote for the Liberals. You like what they're doing because you're too high to notice the difference. I know that's really blunt, but that's how I feel. And you know, you look at the Liberals in this video that we just watched, and they're trying to stop the guy from asking questions about heroin. He's telling you that there's heroin in these machines, and the Liberals, oh, wait, that question is inappropriate.
Yep.
How's that an inappropriate question when they're putting heroin in a machine that kids are buying? I mean, you know, when you walk up to these machines and you go to buy the heroin or the cocaine or the crack or whatever they have in these, it doesn't ask for your age. or
Nobody's
your
there.
ID.
Nobody's there saying, "No, kid, you can't have it."
No, kid, you can't have it. They're just saying, put the money in and it's yours. And it's just wrong, and it needs to stop, and we need to do it for our kids and the future generation.
I mean, let's face it. Any kid can walk up to that machine, even if it needed an adult supervision, and an adult who was the only way to buy it. You had to put some sort of an ID in. Guess what? That kid will still get somebody else to buy it for him because he'll say, "I'll split my share with you, and I'll help you out." Right?
And they're wondering why the poverty areas in Winnipeg are falling apart. I'll tell you why, because they don't build the infrastructure in those areas. They don't help the kids. They don't talk to the people in the area. They give them nothing positive, but they'll put vending machines in there with drugs, or they're going to try to put these safe consumption sites in the poverty areas, which is really unfair because it doesn't give your kids a fair chance of growing up and making something out of their lives.
Absolutely, Mike. And you talked about the Liberals and the NDP, and just they don't quite understand and how they flip that script. I should put myself back on camera here so people could see me. Sorry, my hand came in on the other side. Mike.
Actually, you look better the other way.
I thought so too. I was kind of not there, right? This is all concerning, but as we move forward, the local consumption site that's going to be built here, the permanent one that's going to stand erect as a building and not travel around, that's another part of this whole thing, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But the Liberals and NDP that are running the show, you said something earlier that, it's kind of crazy that they're thinking this way and implementing some of this stuff, right? But there's something I'm going to show you on this next video that I think is going to really make everybody go, what did I just watch? Because it really is going to make people just go, what's going on here? And did I really vote for Liberals? All right, here we go.
Watch this and listen.
Oh, sure, it's not going to work now. Let's see.
Is injecting fentanyl safe? Yes or no? Just yes or no? Oui ou non?
That we have to look into everything. There's no one size fits all in the drug.
So sometimes it is safe and sometimes it isn't? Or is injecting fentanyl safe? That's why I was making it easy with a yes or no answer. It's actually not really very funny because so many people have died.
Well, yes,
these
and also
injection sites.
This is what science shows also, and this is why those sites were open at a point, and this is why provinces and territories are asking for the exemption that you don't like,
and looking to you as a leader.
Because research shows that it saves lives.
Oh, it's safe.
In Christ, yes.
Research shows injecting fentanyl is safe. Is that what you said?
I am talking about the safe consumption sites. I'm not talking specifically on the fentanyl.
Okay. Is injecting
that's called obfuscating, Mike. Obfuscating. No telling the truth.
If that doesn't tick you off, I don't know what does. So they're basically saying that, fentanyl is safe to inject. Look, I'll be straight with you.
Well, you just said it.
As a funeral director, I can tell you that we do a lot of fentanyl deaths. Tons and tons of fentanyl-related deaths. Fentanyl is not safe whatsoever. And the carfentanil that's on our streets is even worse. Do you know that carfentanil will put an elephant to sleep in 30 seconds?
Really?
A big, huge elephant. So that means a person taking carfentanil on the street would kill him instantly. Like, you wouldn't even have a chance to remember what happened to you. Gone. Finished. The Liberal government is feeding people a bunch of BS. It's wrong, and it's time for Canadians to stand up for Canadians. Stand up for your kids and your grandkids and for your own lives, because what does this do? It brings violence to our streets. It brings break and enter to our streets. It brings needles to our playgrounds. It's terrible. We got to stop this, and we need to stand together finally as a nation and say, no, we got to agree to something. But there's so many people that are woke out there that believe what these people are saying.
She was laughing. She was giggling and laughing like it's okay, and you know what? The science is going to straighten this all out. And you'll understand one day, but for now, you listen to me. I'm sorry, but I don't know how they're going through this in the States. Individuals who come from foreign countries who are now in political power within the country. How does that happen? Why is that happening? We need true-blooded Canadians in power within our country, in my opinion.
They should be doing the same thing as they do in the States. If you're not a Canadian citizen, you can't hold office.
Well, they're not doing that in the States either.
No, I'm talking about president.
President, yeah.
Right.
No, I agree.
But I mean, look, if you're going to stand up for Canada, you should be born in Canada, raised in Canada, maybe the city that you want to run for or whatever. I mean, this lady was laughing at the fact that, she's been told fentanyl is dangerous.
Would
and
she say
it
that?
could kill
Would
you.
she say the same thing in her own home country? Is that how she would laugh and giggle if it was her country? I don't think so, Mike.
No, and it's really sad that that we're allowing this to happen.
And these are our kids. These are our kids on the streets, you guys. Like, this isn't something that, we can take lightly here. This is something that's very serious.
And you know what? Kids our age, our kids' age, Brad. Like,
That's right.
I have a 24-year-old son, and you have.
I have 19 and 22 as well,
so
and
there you go.
I don't want this for them.
So those are not Canadian values.
No.
This is not what Canada stood for. And when we were kids, the drug industry may have been marijuana, right?
At best.
At best. And now they're saying it's okay to inject fentanyl, heroin, cocaine. It's all good. No problem. You're going to go to jail for selling it.
There's a vending street on the corner. Come on.
Forget
this
buying
is
chips or
just
gum
crazy.
because that's not good for you anymore.
I shake my head at all of it. I just can't believe that it's transitioned into that. You know how hard we had to look for drugs when we were kids?
You know what? I got to be honest with you.
didn't?
I was never involved in drugs. I mean, as a DJ, I played music at a bar that people were smoking drugs or maybe doing cocaine, and I never got involved in drugs. Thank God, because of my father. My dad, Mike, if you come home with drugs, I kill you. You're my son. I kill you.
Kicked your
My
boot
dad,
in your ass.
I worked as a DJ in the bar, and the bar closed at 1:00, and I had to be home by 1:30, and there was no excuses. My dad would say, "You go to work, you come home, my roof, my house, my rules."
Yep, make it or don't make it, right? Well, there you go. That's a look inside some of this stuff right now. And Mike, there's a lot more to see and talk about. So let's move forward with the show tonight. And let's be fair here. Supporters say these sites are going to prevent overdoses and save lives. But if someone's going to use drugs anyway, isn't it better to do it somewhere supervised instead of dying alone, Mike? What are your thoughts?
Brad, that's probably the argument we're always going to hear. And listen, nobody wants to see people die. Nobody. Sometimes people think of me as a funeral director. Oh, you probably just can't wait for people to die. No, wrong. I want people to live their lives, be with their families, and live to the ripe old age of whatever. But here's the problem. Saving someone in a moment is not the same as saving their life. And that's where we talked about, what do you want to talk about? What's the can called?
The what?
The can that every police officer has in their car now.
Well, Narcan.
And that's what we're talking about in that spot there. So Narcan is saving people's lives
Narcan,
at the moment.
Narcan is the drug that's going to be readily available when you need it most, which is if you've overdosed. Now, that's the harm reduction part of it all. The advocacy for continuing to allow these people to use drugs is the issue. Are we saving people with Narcan? Yes, 150% we are. Does it happen all the time? It does happen on a daily basis. It might save a paramedic. It might save a police officer. It might save just a grandma who lives next door who found a 22-year-old kid lying in the front yard.
But we're not saving them permanently, Brad.
No,
we're saving them at the moment.
That's just it. That's the point.
And that's the problem. That's the problem between rehab and a quick solution which fixes the problem maybe now.
Correct.
And if there's no path to recovery, if there's no requirement for treatment, then what are we really doing? Think about it. We're keeping people alive just long enough so they could continue suffering. Correct. And that's the thing. That's not a solution, Brad.
That's not healthcare. That's not helping anybody. I agree with you 1,000 times over.
I'll tell you what that is. That's maintenance of addiction.
Yep.
That's exactly what that is.
At best.
At best.
I agree. So, Mike, addiction is being called what? All kinds of things like healthcare, not a criminal issue. Shouldn't we treat it like healthcare? I guess we could treat it like healthcare, but there's a criminality around it too. And I mean, so now it's okay that I have cocaine in my pocket or heroin in my pocket and a needle sticking out of my arm and I'm dead on the ground and they're putting Narcan in me and the cop and the EMT are standing over me. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to jail, but I'm not going to the hospital. They've saved me, and I'm going home to do more.
It's almost like catch and release. It's almost like the catch and release program. They come, they save you, then you get to walk away with no consequences.
That's
so
right.
We're back to the same thing again. No consequences for the crime you just committed. There's no
change or outcome for a better in any of this.
And
at this
think about
point.
what that does
We're
to our
reliving it
system.
day by day by day. It's a big revolving circle
Yeah.
of crap.
Think about what that does to our system, Brad, our 911 system, and why people wait so long for ambulances. How many people are they saving that the Narcan needs to be used at? How many calls are they going to that people are high on something?
Well, it's not a quick fix when you go to an Arcan call. Not at all, man.
No.
The guy was dead. Now you're bringing him back to life.
Exactly.
You've got vitals and everything. You're going to hook him up to IV, probably get him to the hospital. All
And
that
we
stuff.
heard it from Nick Casper where he said, his people shake their head because they're there, they save a person's life, they bring them back to life, and then the person just walks away. Nowhere to take them, nowhere to get them help. The help you gave them at that moment is the help they're going to get until the next day.
So treating this like healthcare, what does that look like, Mike?
Then let's actually treat it like healthcare, if you want my opinion. Healthcare means treatment. Healthcare means intervention. Healthcare means helping someone get better, in my opinion, not giving them a place to stay sick. If someone had a life-threatening illness,
Right.
we wouldn't just supervise it. For example, somebody has cancer, we don't just supervise it.
No, we
Give them options.
We try to eradicate
We get
it.
them help.
Yeah.
We have, palliative care wards. We have places they can go. We would fight to cure it. That's what we would do, just like we fight to cure cancer and other diseases. So the problem with this...
You might stand a better chance of curing that than cancer at this point. You know how many millions and trillions of dollars have been thrown at cancer? It's still not cured.
100%.
What could we do for one person if we had $1 million to give that one person?
Well, we just
Their
talked
life
about
would change.
We just talked about the $3.5 million that they gave one person
Yep.
for vending machines that are going to hold hard drugs.
Previous minister in the government, British Columbia, got that 3.5.
So
for
how's
his
that?
company.
How's that helping anybody? So if the government would actually invest in Winnipeg, in Manitoba, and put a building together for that $3.5 million with rooms and facilities that can actually help somebody and get them better and rehab and keep them there until they can live their life and be normal people in society and love their families and most of all love themselves.
100%, Mike. George with the Jeep says we needed to fund mainstream media as well. It's sort of like that first step. The propaganda needs to be stopped so that people can actually be told the truth and not be fed lies. Take big pharma out of the mix as well, and I think you've got something there. But at the same time, as you get into this issue of safe consumption sites, people doing drugs, there's a bunch of other experts out there who are really, trying to support that harm reduction is a positive thing. Now, we agree that saving lives, that's the compassion side that you bring to all of this. You're a compassionate guy, Mike, and you wouldn't be in the funeral business if you weren't. So with that being said, the compassion only goes so far. The harm reduction can only go so far. This is about not only picking them up, stabilizing them, but helping them move forward from there. And that comes with
That's
all
right.
kinds of things like mental health
Yeah,
treatment. And what else would you recommend?
There's a whole bunch. I mean, rehab, there's a lot of things involved with rehab.
There is.
One is getting a person better again. But I think the first thing to do, like I said, is help that person love themselves again and love their family, because you can't change until you see the problem. And once
Right.
you see the problem and you're willing to step forward and fix the problem, then your life just begins all over again. That's what we need to do. When I say we need to bring people hope and faith that tomorrow will be a better day, we don't do it by Narcan, catch and release. Off you go.
We save somebody on the day of with Narcan, but to go forward, Narcan doesn't save anybody. It doesn't stop you from doing drugs. There are drugs out there that an individual can be fed and take that are going to stop them from having that. Well, they do it with alcohol right now. You take the pill and the pill will stop you from drinking. You're not going to want to like that taste very much. Not that I've tried it. But,
Yeah. This is a real serious conversation because we're talking about people, real people. It could be your brother, your sister, your mom or dad, somebody who's struggling with addiction. And don't you want to see those people? When I drive down Main Street, for example, in Winnipeg, it actually breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see people keeled over, completely zombied out of their heads, something I never saw when I was a kid. And the government thinks that's okay. The government thinks it's okay. I can tell you, no doctor in the city of Winnipeg is going to tell you that cocaine's good for you. No doctor in the city of Winnipeg is going to tell you, yeah, shoot up heroin. Your body will get better. You'll get more fit. You'll be a better person.
You have a better chance of finding a minister in politics to say that.
and that's what's happening is these politicians. And listen, I want to be really clear with you and really straight and frank with you. I will never be known as a politician. I'm never going to be a politician. Even if I become mayor of the city of Winnipeg, I will be known as a businessman who's going to bring positive change to the city and is going to go down in history for doing that. And not only that, a person who's going to bring compassion, care, and make sure that we do the best for your family.
We always say go down in history. It's actually up. You're going to go up in
Well,
history.
eventually you're going to go down.
All right, so they're not all wrong in terms of trying to help these people, but the help really isn't just a one and done. It's not a fix. It's a quick fix. And the fix is what's really needed to be discussed, and that's where the mental health side of things comes in. Just scroll up for a second on the comments. I think Randy had a good comment here. I just want to mention this real fast because it's good to get to some of the comments. Just down a bit.
I like getting into comments.
Down just a bit more. Mental institutions have to make a comeback, and that would be would take care of a good chunk of the problem. And Randolph's right. I think that's exactly it. So, mental health facilities, getting them the treatment that they need. Again, how do you get these people off the street and able to talk? How do you get them to communicate with us?
Michelle says something that makes a lot of sense, and it's true. Nobody wakes up wanting to be an addict.
That's true.
Nobody says, "Well, I want to grow up and be an addict."
There's underlying conditions around all that. Poverty.
I talk to kids all the time, and one thing I say to them is, "Don't try it."
No.
Because you may get addicted to it, and your life will change forever.
It's not the solution.
It's not the solution. And, I tell people all the time, I go talk to kids in high school and a lot of the, public speaking that I do, I always say this, get high on life.
You've been saying that since I was 17.
Get
I remember.
high on life. And that's what I do every day of the week. I get high on life because I take myself to a place where I haven't been in my mind, and that gets me high. I don't need drugs. I don't need alcohol. I don't need any of that stuff. I just need my imagination to take me to that next level. Running for mayor in the city of Winnipeg, get high on life. That's going to get me high. Knowing that I'm going to help people, that I'm going to make a difference, that I will be a mayor like no other. I look at Bill Norrie, and, he's kind of a hero to me, right? He had a vision for Winnipeg, a vision that was in black and white, but nobody took him serious. So Winnipeg would have been a different place if we would have had a guy like Bill Norrie here today with his vision and what he wanted to do to make Winnipeg better for you. So anyways, we're on that. You weren't wrong about what you said. Not wrong, but incomplete, in my opinion, because the real world results matter, just as the studies matter. We heard her say that there were studies that said fentanyl and heroin was okay for you. I'd like to see those studies, and I'm sure the viewers would too. And what are our communities seeing? More public drug use, more disorder, more fear from residents? Because when you bring these to your neighborhood, trust me, there's fear, and you have to lock your doors. Why? Because people that take drugs, people that are addicts, have an addiction, and they will do whatever it takes, we're seeing in the city right now, to feed their addiction. Breaking into your house, robbing you on the streets, robbing businesses, stealing, they will do whatever it takes. If a policy looks good on paper, but people living there feel less safe, that's telling you something. Then something's broken. Leadership means listening to the people, living it, and just not on reports, because reports are made to say whatever they want to say, almost like when you read the polls that they put on who's winning the election and who's... Do you actually believe those polls?
No, not a chance.
Oh, we talked to 20 people, and...
It's all nonsense. Wake Up Canada News, we're going to start putting out polls as well. But, if I had 100 people chime in and 90 of them said that they were in favor and 10 said no, is that a realistic poll? That's what CBC, CTV, global media is doing out there right now. And I can do the same kind of polling. I'm not going to say that they're bang on or spot on. There's too many people to ask that question. That deserves really an election. Time for the quick Q&A, Mike.
Something else about elections. Don't you think that major things that are going to change in this city, like, for example, Portage-Germain, they tried to do it, safe consumption sites, things that affect your neighborhood, things that affect your families, your children, don't you think they should be, like on election day when we go to vote for a mayor or a councillor, don't you think they should have some questions on there are: do you approve of safe consumption sites? Do you approve of whatever they want to do? And let the citizens decide what should happen to their city. We don't need to go out and get a million people from other provinces telling us what we need to do in our city. We need the citizens of Winnipeg stepping up and saying, this is what we'd like to see in
Sort of
our
like
city.
another poll, isn't it, Mike? And
It's exactly a poll, but it's a
polling them
poll.
you're polling them at the polls.
Polling them at the, a poll for a poll. Yeah, so you know what? I would look forward to these rapid,
Questions?
questions.
You want questions
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Okay, this is rapid fire questions, and make them quick. Don't give me the long answer, the short answer. Okay, Mikey, we only got so much time left, but here we go. Should these sites be near schools? Mike,
I'm going to say absolutely not, because none of this stuff should be around our children.
should communities have a say before one opens?
100%. We should have a say in anything that happens in our city.
Do these sites reduce addiction long term?
No evidence of that whatsoever.
Are we focusing enough on recovery?
Not even close. We need recovery. Recovery is the solution to the problem.
Is this the right direction for Winnipeg and Manitoba?
Not the way it's being done in Manitoba or what they're planning on doing in Manitoba.
What do you think happens when this site opens here in Winnipeg?
I think crime goes up. Addiction obviously goes up. More robberies on the streets. All the bad things that can happen in the city. And the thing that drives me crazy the most is, where are we going to be finding these needles? There's one thing that there's proof of. They're finding needles in school grounds, playgrounds, all around the city. Older folks are going to be afraid.
The park, the beach, everywhere. Period. It happened in Lethbridge, Alberta. I was living there at the time. I moved my family to Winnipeg for that reason, and I wasn't prepared to stay and let my kids see any of that.
I never want to see somebody's children in school, at a playground, playing baseball or soccer, being stabbed by one of these needles that's been in one of these addicts that really has no respect for their own body.
I
never
like
mind
I like the
someone
way you
else's.
worded that just now, stabbed, because that's exactly what it is. It's no
Getting
different than a
stabbed.
knife getting stabbed with a knife.
And
It's the
until
same
we
thing.
bring compassion to the city, we're going to keep running into these problems. Honestly, I want you to think about this. You need someone with common sense to be mayor of the city, someone who's going to care about you and your family. That's the bottom line. And if we don't get that, it's going to be the same old, same old. Anybody could come up and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Listen, I've been battling this battle for 2 years now since I lost my brother Kyriakis. Why? Because the system failed our family. And this system
Yep,
is going to fail your family.
it is.
It's a catch and release, just like the one that affected my brother.
So, look, we've got the mobile safe consumption site traveling around the city now, and it's going, I guess into neighborhoods up in the Main Street area and block and taking care of those individuals the best that they can. But, Mike, you're seriously telling me this mobile supervised drug consumption van operating in Winnipeg right now, and you know that it is, but who operates it?
Yes, it's operating in Winnipeg right now as we
And
speak.
by who?
It's operated by Sunshine House. And, it's called MOPS,
What's MOPS?
Mobile Overdose Prevention Sites. That's what they...
So look, they're not preventing it. That's not prevention. The kid's already using the drugs. He's sitting in their trailer doing the drugs. The prevention is them saving the kid if he ODs. Otherwise, they're allowing it to happen. That's not prevention.
But that's what they call it.
Right. That's
the
just
Mobile Overdose Prevention Site.
It makes it sound
Makes it sound good, doesn't
rosy.
it?
Oh, it's so
It makes it sound like,
special.
hey, you know what? That doesn't sound so bad. This is a vehicle that moves around the city. I want you to realize that. Where individuals consume drugs under their supervision. Staff are there with the can and overdose response equipment. So that's exactly what's happening. They're only there for that reason. Your son is overdosing. They're there with the Narcan can.
Narcan.
They bring him back to life. And then guess what? It's almost, Michelle says, this is right. It's almost like MAID.
It is.
Oh, here, let me assist you.
That's correct.
You know?
It is, and it can kill, just like MAID. A better chance, actually.
Not only can it kill, it has killed.
It will
and
kill.
will continue.
It will kill. Now, this is already happening in our streets, Mike. It's already happening in our neighborhoods. Look, I can't. The drug issue and problem is branching outside of downtown core areas. It's coming into your local neighborhoods. Next, you'll see safe consumption vehicles in your neighborhood, possibly. How do you think people would Sage Creek or Island Lakes or even along
But you live in Sage
Wellington
Creek.
Crescent?
You live in Sage Creek. Imagine seeing that van as you pull into Sage Creek, your side. You got that big open area.
Yeah.
Imagine a van there and a lineup of
Kids.
underage, whatever the case, lined up.
Anybody can go.
Anybody can go. And you know what? That would take me to the next level in my head. Seeing my kid in that line, lined up to get high and be supervised while he's doing it, but it's all good.
So, okay, this is where I get a little bit angry and PO'd, Mike. So who's approving all of this? Is this a mayor's job to approve all this nonsense, or does somebody else do it?
Well, you know what? I think this is done through the provincial government, but I'm sure it's done in partnership with the mayor.
Did city council vote on this kind of stuff, Mike?
And that's the problem. No debate for most people. No clear public awareness. It's already in operation. And we're going to talk about how they bypass it.
Sure. One of the biggest questions is, was city council formally advised that this was coming into their neighborhood?
Well, I guess we have to see who approved it, right? Did city council vote on this? That's one of the biggest questions.
Did you ever see any public discussion? Because I didn't.
Was city council ever formally advised? There was no public discussion. That's the big thing. Because if someone like this was operating in our city, the public deserves to know and to say they approved it and how it's going to work and how it's going to get here. And that hasn't happened.
So no public discussion, which leaves, things hanging in the balance of somebody else's decision making. And it's really coming down to a liberal or a conservative or an NDP who's making that choice. The Conservatives don't seem to be putting up too much of a fight either from this whole situation. But we need to talk about the public, don't we, Mike? We need to get into the public, and that's an important part too. You mentioned there was a survey. So this survey, what did that look like? Do you remember?
Yes, there was a survey back in November. A survey was circulated around feedback continuing the program. But here's the issue.
What?
That the survey clearly explained that a different federal exemption was being pursued. Because if people didn't fully understand what they were being asked, that's not real consultation.
No, and you're right. That's not. So saying people may not have been fully informed is something that probably happened, yeah?
Yeah, I'm saying that that's a question that needs to be answered. Consultation only works if it's transparent. And that's the problem. Has there been any transparency for this mobile consumption site that needed a permit to operate? Because let's just say you're operating a food truck.
Right.
You just can't go out and sell hot dogs. You need a permit.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they're not selling anything at this place, but you're right.
But you still need a permit to operate a mobile consumption site.
You would think that you do, but again, federal, provincial, maybe not. Who's overseeing it? Who's regulating it? Who's there to make sure that this is operating properly? Mm-hmm. I want to get into something very simple, Mike. Permits. We talked about that for a second, and we talked about the open truck stuff. But directly, does a mobile drug consumption van have the permit? I don't know, and you don't know, but that is kind of like the question that we want answered. So if somebody else out there happens to know in the comments, by all means, let us know. We're definitely interested to find that out.
That's exactly the question. Does it? If yes, where's the records showing that they got a permit?
Yeah.
If no, why not? Because rules in the city are supposed to apply to everyone equally. And that's not the case. For example, me and the cameras that I put up, that every other business has up, and I have to get a permit because I'm treated differently. Why? Because I'm challenging Scott Gillingham.
I thought you were
and council,
I thought you were special.
And they're making me feel very special, Brad.
Special at $1,000 a pop, eh?
$1,500.
15, okay. Hey, the responsibility falls under somebody. Who's this falling under? Municipal oversight or your mayoral oversight if you were the mayor?
I think that responsibility falls under the municipal oversight. And if there's a gap here, it needs to be addressed immediately.
Now, I want to be fair here, Mike. So some people are going to say things like, this saves lives and this helps people, and I agree to some extent, but robbing Peter to pay Paul doesn't make it worthy. You're basically saying that we're going to leave you to have some drugs and we'll be there to save you, but we're not going to help you stop your addiction. That's just wrong.
Catch-22, isn't it? And that's an important point. This is not about attacking vulnerable people, not at all, because addiction is real. People are suffering, but helping people does not mean removing accountability. We could care and we could still demand transparency.
So what is it really about for you, Mike? Because obviously, standing up and speaking out is something that, nobody likes to do. A lot of people don't, but you are. You're going to take a stand and make that stand firm.
One thing that people are starting to figure out about me is not only do I speak the truth, but I'm not afraid to talk about things that people are thinking about, but nobody wants to say. This is about trust. This is about whether decisions are being made openly or quietly behind the scenes, which we're seeing a lot of, by the way. No transparency. Because once you lose the public's trust, you lose the foundation of leadership.
True
and
story.
that's the big thing, losing the foundation of leadership because you're not being accountable to the citizens who voted for you.
You kind of have to have leaders in place to begin with. Okay, I didn't say that. Okay, that's where I'm supposed to shut my mouth. Okay, what do you want from the city right now other than a new mayor?
Boy, that's a good one, Brad.
That's a loaded one.
That's a loaded one.
That's the last one of the night, so
clear
trust me, we only
answer,
got a couple minutes left. Make it quick.
I want to know who approved this. And
Wob
if
Canoe.
somebody from the city of Winnipeg is watching this, who approved this?
Wob Canoe?
What permits exist?
Is it federal, provincial, or local?
I want to see. Yeah, I want to see. Where's the permit? Like, what legal framework is it operating under? I want to know, and so do most people. And mostly importantly,
as a concerned citizen, do you think you have any stance on challenging this in a court of law?
I think you do, especially if
Is
it's
this-
your
is this
son,
something- is this something
your
you would-
daughter.
Would you take that on?
Of course I would. If my daughter or son died because they had one of these safe consumption sites up, safe, that's the big word.
You do enough funerals. It doesn't have to be any one of your kids or
Look,
anybody. It's
I
anybody.
do. I can honestly tell you that we do drug overdose is close to the heart disease when it comes to death.
Numbers wise.
Exactly. But I still want to know why the public wasn't fully brought into this conversation. Winnipeg families deserve that. They really do. And when we take Winnipeg families out and we don't have the conversation, but we go ahead and have mobile consumption sites roaming around neighborhoods, and now we're going to put a consumption site up in your neighborhood, maybe.
No, we're not.
Maybe beside a school.
I thought you said you weren't going to do
Not
that.
me. Let me tell you something. If I was mayor of the city, I would have nothing to do with safe
Now,
consumption
when does
sites.
this mayoral run start, man?
In
What's
May.
it, May?
In May.
Okay.
So listen, I've talked with a lot of people, including former mayors, which I'm talking with. So I've gone really depth into detail on what to do. Most people say to me, Mike, you should not put your name in May. Because you got May, June, July, August, September, October. That's like 6 months of campaigning.
Is that enough?
Well, a lot of people won't put their names in. They say maybe
The mayor's already started.
15 or 20 people may put their names in to run for mayor. But, I think you need to be in there in May so you can not just start the conversation, but start giving solutions to problems. Put your platform on the table. Let people see what you're really all about. Because right now I'm just full of air.
The real discussions start then, and that's the thing. You can ask the questions now. People can give you the replies and the responses. You've got to elaborate on that, and that's what you're waiting for.
And I just can't wait to elaborate. And I just can't wait to do it right here on the Mike Vogiatzakis show when we're going to change the name, and it'll be, Mike for Mayor or Mike Vogiatzakis for Mayor. That's what the show will be called at that point. So we can answer questions right on the show where the media, because we know the media is the devil of all sin. Because,
Not all of us.
Not all of us, but you say one thing and they say another thing. And I've quickly found this out when you're talking to the media, keep it short and sweet because they cut and paste. And you said one thing and it's totally different when you hear it on the news.
Yeah.
So it's about time we had a mayor who's going to be accountable. We need a premier who's also going to be accountable and answer to the citizens of this province. And the mayor, this is really important, the mayor and the premier need to work side by side, basically holding hands and working together to make this province a better province for you, your families, and your children.
No question or doubt in my mind.
What time are we at?
We are at 10:01, and
You're
it's
kidding.
time to go.
Wow. Well, thank you for joining us on another edition of the Mike Vogiatzakis Show. We hope this was educational for you. Please like, share, and follow, especially share the
Please
show.
bring some resistance to this issue, okay? Bring some resistance, because this isn't needed. This isn't warranted. This isn't needed at all, period. Because you're watching it close down all across the country, except for here. They're going to open one. Give your heads a shake. It's already been proven it doesn't work. It doesn't get to the solution and create any kind of better future for anyone.
Sounds like more conspiracy.
Yeah, sure it is.
And you know what? People will call it conspiracy theory, even though we've shown you facts.
Look,
This isn't fiction.
We were going to bring a special guest on tonight from Alberta who was in Lethbridge. She's got all the video footage. She parked a camera in the back of somebody's business and took video footage outside and inside the safe consumption site that occurred there. We have all of the details on what happened there, from the fraud that went on to the overdose to the saving of people. There was a lot of stuff that happened there. It was bad.
Even this got me, and I wish he would have came on the show just to play this one video of a pregnant mom.
Yeah.
A pregnant mom waiting in line to use a safe consumption site. This is somebody who's
With
carrying a little
baby
life.
in a stroller.
And a baby in a stroller,
and
yeah.
a bun in the oven.
And a bun in the oven. Think about that. Just think about that. That's reality. Thank you for tuning in to tonight's show. Take care of yourselves and each other. God bless you and your families.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Brad.
Good night, Mike.